across steampunk. We build new things from old junk. Copper, brass, wood and leather. Patent cross steampunk. Rolling art is our fun. Watch us as we put 'em all together.
Alright, so let's see if I can zoom out a little bit. Mike Parodi's flying saucer. I have been deflating the tube here because I'm trying to slide this off, and I don't think I'm going to be able to take this off without damaging it because I gotta have to. Well, shoot, I have to take it off of the stand anyway because I got to change the batteries. Ugh. And also, I couldn't figure out how all of the lights and everything were wired up. I mean, the battery for it is a 24-volt battery pack back here, and it has a barrel plug hanging down, but no male connector to go in it. So, I'm not really sure. But luckily, the guy who wired this up is Jed, who lives next door. So, yeah, so the mirrored part here is a wooden base that goes around the electronic wheelchair. And so in order to change batteries, I got to take this whole thing off. And it looks like it's a series of 550 cord and ratchet straps. So that should be fun. And I know what Mike wanted was he wanted this illusion to be a little bit better. And so what I'm going to look at is taking some Luan and making it go around to make this more of a circle. So it's harder to see an angle, you know. And then I have some mirror vinyl that I'll put on that. So maybe that'll help with the illusion, because this does a good job, but because of the hard angles, I think it makes it stand out that it's not, actually floating, but it is pretty cool. Let me tell you, lifting that off of that was not easy. I'm not even sure how I did it. There's a lot of cussing. Now to remove this box so that I can replace the batteries. I also want to point out something that's super cool about this. So this little gear shifting here, if you've ever messed with these wheelchairs, you'll know that there is two levers that engage or disengage the motor, right? So if you want to put it in neutral so you can push it around, well, when you build something like this, you have a hell of a time getting to those. And so what Jeff Church did was he made this lever here that lets you put it into gear or neutral with that, which when you're sitting in the wheelchair, that's in this hole right here where normally the outboard motor would go, because this is a bumper boat. So I just thought that was super cool from Dr. Church. All right, that was a bit of effort. Apparently we had made these little brackets here that bolted up through 2x4 and part of the frame. Lord have mercy. I also noticed that this battery tray had shifted and was one of the reasons why this wheel kept getting stuck. It's because it was hitting the battery tray. All right, so I'm gonna say this little disclaimer now. If you try to do this, you do it at your own risk. Please get somebody who is familiar with this, educated about it, to help you. Because if you hook batteries up wrong, you wire them wrong, then you short them against themselves and you can cause them to explode, catch fire, all sorts of unpleasant things. So, what we have here is a 12 volt, 35 amp hour AGM battery. So two of them. And the way that these are wired together, these motors here run on 24 volt. So these two put together essentially One of your positive goes to the negative, and then these two become your out to your system. And that puts them in series. In parallel, it means you would have 12 volts output, but you would have 75 amp hours. Now the amp hour rating is, if this pulled 1 amp of power in use, then your battery would last 35 hours. Given that these on a good day probably only lasted about 12 hours, I would say that this or a system like this is probably pulling, maybe, I don't know, maybe 3 to 5 amps. You pull more amperage the heavier you are. If you build a spaceship on top of it, that's more weight. A spaceship with a person, that's more weight. So I don't know, the best we probably ever had was maybe 4 or 5 hours of driving. So I'm going to get the LiFePo 4 batteries that are at least 35 amp hour. All right, so this is just a bolt that goes down into here, and it just keeps popping out. So that's why this falls down, and then, your wheel over here gets stuck. And we were having this problem constantly where you try to drive it and you can only go in a right circle or whatever. So I'm going to fix this by putting a longer bolt that goes all the way through, and that should I'll do it on both sides, and that should keep it in place. That way we won't have to worry about that problem happening.
Hat and cross, steampunk, we build new things from old junk. Copper, brass, wood and leather. Hat and cross, steampunk, rolling art is our fun. Watch us as we put 'em all together.